What is up, everybody? This is Marshall Lee of DonkeyJawProjects.com, and we're bringing it back. We're bringing back the Early Bird Artcast, at least for a day, and we got the people who we've had on many times, and there might be some other people jumping in. Hopefully, we'll see. But we got let's see who we got. We got Mrs. I don't know how to do the Mrs. or we got Teresa Delar here. How you doing? Where can people find you?
Hi, I'm doing all right, and people can find me here on YouTube, same name, Teresa del Pilar, or on Instagram, same name but with underscores.
Awesome. And then we also have Mr. Russ Leach here. Where can people find you, sir?
Yeah, you can find me at russleach.com. At comicbookblackbelt.com. You can find me on YouTube as Comic Book Black Belt. You can find me at onlydeathcansavus.com. That's my new book. And you can find out more about that at the Indiegogo campaign, which is live currently. You can find me on the Twitter, on the Fleecebook, on the Instagram, and on the Parlay as well. But they still aren't able to upload pictures on that. So it's a bit bizarre. But I try to get around on the internet. So just look me up. You'll find me.
Awesome. And speaking of Only Death Can Save Us, I'm refreshing here. Oh, we got some more.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, just a couple over the last day or so. It's very nice. Dave came on and supported me. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this for a minute, man. What's what if I mean people on my show have heard about it, but hey, you never know. There might be a new person. Let people know a little bit about what this is.
It's Bronze Age inspired. As I grew up as a kid, I love Bronze Age books, and I love the fun. They're a bit cheesy, but they're all about action and adventure. And I've got a little. If you just zoom up, just to go up just a little bit, I've got the pitch just underneath. And so it's Only Death Can Save Us is a Bronze Age inspired cosmic fantasy romp, bringing together action and pathos as the ancient elemental known as Death leaps from his ethereal retirement to help a young soul protect her loved ones, her world, and even existence itself. So it's that. It's the hero's journey, but it's also a journey between the two protagonists, a human soul and death. And he's not what you think he is. He's actually very heroic and part of the Pillars of Light, which are also otherwise known as the Four Horsemen, who are not the harbingers of the apocalypse, but are actually part of the cosmic backdrop of existence. And there's a big fight, and it's great.
Yeah, there's always got to be a big fight. Yeah, that's cool. It sounds like you've got like the human characters in there, and it's almost like it's possible that it's a big part their story as well.
Certainly, Chrissy, who is the other protagonist, she is the partner. She's the other character. Death takes the lead role, but it is about the two of them. So
that's pretty cool. Kind of reminds me of like some like Transformers stories, or I don't know. There's a lot of things where you kind of get a similar dynamic. Maybe even Doctor Who to a certain extent, or to a big extent.
Yeah. There's a little bit of that in it. So
there's Chrissy right there.
Yeah, there's Chrissy, and it's it's a combination of inspirations. Combination.
That's awesome.
But what I wanted it to be was fun. It's also all ages. So there's we've been there before. Romance, not sex; action, not violence; hero's journey, not ideology. It's just a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was looking at this one. This character looks really cool. What's his name?
That's Famine. So cool. Famine.
He looks like
one of the Four
mummy / I don't know, crusader or something. I don't know.
He's got that kind of vibe to him. Yeah.
That's cool.
Did you color it yourself, or did you hire someone?
Yeah, I colored. I've done the whole lot, all the art and the and the lettering.
I love how the colors interact with the inks. It's great. So bold.
Yeah, I went for that Bronze Age kind of simplistic approach. Yeah,
I like it a lot.
I didn't realize you colored it.
I didn't color that though. Mike Summers colored the front,
the cover. Yeah,
and he did a stellar job on it. Absolutely lovely.
I love this, actually. I was looking at this yesterday when I was doing my little fan art piece, and I'm like, this is perfect. I almost want to get a print of this. This is cool.
Well, that will be in the book. But yeah,
Oh, cool.
I may offer that as a print next time round, because I am hoping to make it into a series. So
Nice.
there is an arc waiting to be told.
So is it like a graphic novel, or is it like a trade?
Yeah, it's a graphic novel. It's 60 pages of story, but the last 2 pages have a twist to them, which is part of the whole setup of the whole book. But you can read the book on its own and be satisfied. So the idea was that it would be more episodic content rather than like batching everything up for a trade paperback.
Right.
Or that it would be one massive graphic novel. I wanted to do it in episodes. So at the moment, I've got a 4-book arc planned out, but there's room to go on all over the place.
Cool.
Awesome.
It doesn't have to be a 4-book only arc. The first arc could be set in that, but they could go anywhere and do anything. So that was the idea. We'll see.
Sweet. And I just realized I forgot to put links in the description, but I did just put Only Death Can Save Us in there for now. I'll throw everybody else's links in later. So that's in there now, and I'm about to throw it in the chat as well. Everybody, I definitely recommend you go at least check it out, see if you like it. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't like it, but you know, and I'd say back it. Like, this is, you're supporting a really awesome artist who is going to bring you, it's pretty obvious just from the images there, he's going to bring you some good storytelling. So you know, definitely I look forward to it, that's for sure.
Okay.
Let's see what's up. We got Van Illustrations here. Clay, how you doing, man? We got HPA Entertainment. Stinch is in here. What's up, dude?
He'll be on our show later.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching that. I'm gonna actually be able to watch live because
oh, cool.
Because it's Labor Day. So what's up, Lame Vision Official? And yeah, so we got the family hanging out in there. So let's see. So Teresa, how things been, man? Or man, I keep messing up when I'm talking to you.
It's okay. I understand. No, yeah, things have been okay. Last week was my week back to work, so I'm back to making videos, post on Instagram, working the day job and drawing. So it's been interesting getting back to work after these weird holidays. But It's good to be back, and it's good that you are on Labor Day. I was wondering why you were here, but like, it's Labor Day over there, so you're on holiday right now. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. My plan was to work my butt off on Labor Day weekend, and I didn't really work my butt off like I wanted to. But today, things come up. You know, it's so frustrating. You think you have a plan, and you think, okay, well, I can make an exception for this because, you know, it's only going to take an hour, and then I can get back to things, and then I can take an exception for that, and then before you know it, your weekend's over. So it's like, geez. And then sometimes things happen that mess up your mood too. So that, you know, it is what it is. But, you know, the thing is we probably shouldn't let emotions dictate what we do, I think, if we're trying to make a career out of it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, well, emotions always dictate what you do, because if you're angry, you're angry. If you're happy, you're happy. There's nothing you can do about it. But for me, getting organized, well, I'm terrible at getting organized, but I'm always trying to get organized, and that's how I get mildly organized, because it's a constant effort every day. And for me, that's what keeps me going forward, and also changing the methods in which I organize. And now I got this board that I put, like, with projects. I'm really proud of this. Look at this. With all the projects I have to finish before the end of the year, and I just prioritize them.
Wow.
So I'm very hyped, because if I can finish everything I need to finish in September and October, I have November free to work on graduation nightmares.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, I've been trying to get organized and get motivated, like you say, because if I rely only on the chaos that surrounds my life right now, then I will never do anything.
Yeah, yeah. Trust me, I know how that goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, you did some organizing and stuff. That's pretty cool. Did you what was your kind of approach with that? I've been thinking about that kind of technique of like you kind of set a goal, you say this is the measurable goal that I want, and then you kind of work your way back and say, okay,
Oh yeah.
let's put the days and see how much I have to do for each day to get to that goal. I haven't done that yet, but I've been thinking about that.
Well, I do all sorts of things because I have to change it because for some reason, if I stick to it for a while, it just the effect and the enthusiasm wears off. And as we were saying, emotions are important. And when I'm enthusiastic about a new method, I'm always like, I want to follow it. This is going to work. And then 3 months down the line, I have to change it because the enthusiasm has worn off. But I can tell you like 3 things that I really like. I really like the highlight method, which is basically these guys that worked at Google, they were consultants or something, and they said that when your life is full of things, what you do is every day you choose a highlight. So, for example, my highlight for today is finishing this thing, or my highlight for today is going to visit my mom. Whatever it is, just one thing. It has to be one thing that you're going to do with all your concentration and you're going to enjoy or whatever fully. And I really like that one. That's what I do on the day-to-day basis. On the weekly basis, I do time assignments, like you said. Like I'm gonna work 4 hours on this thing this week, 5 hours on this thing this week, and whatever. And then on the trimester go, I don't know. I have different methods depending on whether it's day, week, month, trimester, year, 5 years, or 10 years. And then I change everything all the time, and so it's not very effective. But it keeps me focused somehow. So I
Yeah.
make it work, but it doesn't. I'm not very good at it.
Well, I mean, to me, it sounds like you're good at it as far as the organization, at least, because you got all these different methods and you're finding out what works and what doesn't.
Yeah. But I find that I cannot get away from the fact that I need that spark of enthusiasm, and by changing these methods all the time, that's how I keep going with a routine, by changing the routine. But it's a routine still.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Lame Vision Official says that's an amazing tip. I agree. We have some more people came in. Comics with Chris. Haven't seen you around too much, man. I hope you're doing well.
Is that Chris McQuinlan?
No, that's he goes by. He's been in the 100s. He does videos and stuff. Chris.
Oh.
Why can't I think of his last name? He kind of just goes by Comics with Chris a lot. I can't think of his last name, but yeah, he's been around. I'm sure you've seen him around. We got Dave Hingley. How you doing, dude? Salazar, also known as Frank. What's up? Woke up 4 hours ago after sleeping in the voice chat. I thought we didn't hear from you for a while there, and you were still there. That's funny. I've fallen asleep in the voice chat myself, and actually, Teresa knows I have done that even back in the days too. When we had the Google Hangouts, I was like snoring and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, fun. Stinch says today's highlight will be the streams. That's awesome. Yeah, because you're going to be in there, so that'll be awesome.
Yep.
Frank says, "Don't cross the streams."
Don't cross the streams.
And Lame Vision Official, it's already crossing.
Cats and dogs living together.
Yeah. Marcelino Rodriguez, how you doing? All right. So, what about you, Russ? How do you plan and organize your day, or week, or months, or whatever?
Yeah, I kind of butt my head against it and hope it works. I think. Yeah, I've had a loose idea about timings on penciling and then inking. I know when I have to finish by. I tend to crunch, which is not a good thing. But it seems to be a way that I work. Up until this book, everything has depended on external pressures, so clients, effectively. But the beer virus kind of put paid to that around May, and gave me the opportunity to get on with this thing. So yeah, I suppose I've given myself a period of time. You start the campaign as well. You know when you've got to be finished by, when you've got to get it to the printers, and you work to that schedule, and that's it. I really like the idea about what Teresa was saying about having these highlights, because I tend to do that. I'm kind of doing that automatically. I didn't even think about it, but I do it. So every day there's something that you think, oh, I'll be doing that page today, or I'll really enjoy doing that thing, or I've got a stream to do, or I'm going to go training, or whatever it might be. So, all kinds of disparate things that kind of give you a high point to the day. So, yeah, that helps. But, I think most of the time it's just me banging my head against it and hoping I get it done on time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I'm kind of, I don't know, I go through phases of being a little more planny and organizy, I guess, but I guess I don't really stick to it the greatest. My best thing that I do is what I've learned to do through the 100 Days of Making Comics, and that's just to work for at least a half an hour every day. And like I've said before, I'm back on it, finally. It's only been, maybe 5 days at this point, but I couldn't, I got life events happening that threw me for a loop, and how I wasn't able, I lost kind of footing for a good 4 or 5 months or something. And I've been trying to get back all this time still, even though, and I've just finally been able to get back to that habit, and creating the accountability in the Discord, I think was the key for me. I can't do it without accountability, at least to start off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think if you put down a deadline, or if you put down, like you say, accountability, but especially if that's to other people, it's easier to force yourself, because you obviously feel like you're letting other people down rather than just yourself. As much as, like, for the last 10 years since I've been freelance illustrating, you have like mini schedules, because you've got to get things done. So a client comes in, they want something done, you got to get it done. So I would say that even though I may not sound particularly organized, the campaign for this book has been some of the most organized I've been, simply because I've been applying myself. Whereas prior to that, it's almost a firefighting situation where one client will say, right, I've got a job for you, and you've got to fit it around another client's work and another client, because you're just trying to, generate the flow of income and generate the flow of work. And then that kind of stopped, and I was able to apply myself to a whole production for the book, which actually ended up me being far more organized than I thought I was going to be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I look at, as I've watched you kind of prepare for this campaign, even from the beginning of your YouTube channel, it seems like you, maybe not the beginning, but not far from the beginning of your YouTube channel, like you had a plan for your YouTube channel. You were like, I'm going to do this, and once I get to this many subscribers, somebody gets a graphic novel. Like right from the start, there was a plan, there was a format. And then once you started planning for Only Death Can Save Us, it to me, from the outside at least, it seems very organized. And I mean, you have all the work that you do combined with that. I mean, you get it done. I know you get it done. So it's like, you must have, some kind of structure going on.
I think some of it may be just, it may be that that's just the way I am. I don't know. I don't feel like I over organize or organize enough, to be honest. But if you're structured as a person, then maybe you don't need to as much. I don't know. maybe my idea of me saying, "Oh, I'm just banging my head against it," is another person's idea of, "Oh God, I've got to get up every morning and do the same thing to get something done." Whereas I'm kind of like, "All right, it's got to be done." I don't know, different strokes for different folks. But also, I have had a career in production where I've had to be, accountable to clients and other staff and colleagues and what have you. So maybe it's just in me now. Maybe it's been beaten into me by life.
Yeah, well, life has a way of doing that, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, what I find is that it's easier to do, as you say, when it's an external accountability source because you feel obligated. But when you're doing it for yourself, and this is what I find, is like I have all these projects. Some of them are not for me. Some of them are for me. And it's so easy to just prioritize constantly the ones that are coming from other people. And then you never get to do your own thing. And that's what really frustrates me. And that's why I try to get organized in these crazy ways, because if I do what you're doing, I would only do the things I have to do.
Yeah, no, I totally appreciate that, because up until the chance I had, with the time that I was given to do this, I'd finally got myself to a position where I was giving myself a day a week to go away and do my own thing. But it is, from one week to the next for you to feel it, it's difficult. And like you say, a client comes in and that's it. You just got to do, what you've been tasked to do. So I found myself nailing the pencils. And then once I was prepared to go to the campaign, that gave me another shot in the arm, because suddenly now I am accountable again.
Yeah.
I'm accountable to those backers, and I'm accountable to the people that I'm marketing myself to say, look, this is my book. It's going to be great. You got to buy it. But they need to know that I'm committed, and they have to have confidence in that. So I've got to knuckle down and make sure. And if I want to sell a second and a third and a fourth book, I've got to make sure this one turns up, on time and in good order. So yeah, that accountability thing does make a difference.
Yeah, that absolutely does. Yeah. And I think as well, like what you're saying of you want people to take you seriously, that pressure of what other people think about you in a way is external accountability. And I do think about that a lot with my webcomic, because I update so sporadically that I get frustrated with myself, because it's like people that gave this a chance and are reading it and are getting like an update every month and a half, every 2 months, whatever. Like, I don't know. They probably think like I'm not a very serious person, and I guess I'm not, because the results are there to prove that I'm not. But it's just that thing where you always think, oh, I have to do this because they're paying me, or I have to do this because it's important or urgent. And it's difficult to, as you say, you give yourself one day a week. But, that day you wake up and it's not the same level of urgency. Like when I have to wake up and go to, like, with a client, a meeting, or to a lesson that I have to teach, or to a deadline that I have that night, you wake up and you have like a rocket in your bum, right? But the day you wake up to work on your own thing, you wake up, you make a coffee, you look out the window, like there is something that is just not as strong. I'm still trying to figure out how to create that sense of urgency for my own stuff, and I haven't found it yet. But if I do find it, I'll let you know.
I think you're very harsh on yourself, but I do understand where you're coming from. The rocket up my backside is that I really want to make this a success. I see this as a potential for my main revenue. So I'd really like to do this permanently. So if I don't get it done, then I've only got myself to blame. Right. But definitely having that direct accountability. So the campaign's there, people are backing it. It's like that makes the rocket. That stops you having a coffee in the morning.
You go straight and you
go straight to the desk and
you break the desk with your head because you trip on your way with your pajamas. That's what I want.
It's in reality, of course, it doesn't stop the coffee, because the coffee would stop us if we didn't drink it. Yeah, but you know what I mean.
No, yeah, that's really good. And actually, I'm still in Marshall's stream for a minute, but I really like what you say about it's because you believe in yourself.
I've had to, yeah. It's the only way. I mean, you never want to be arrogant, ever. Arrogance is the enemy of creativity. But at the same time, you still need to be confident in yourself. You still need to believe in yourself and have others believe in you as well. That's important, to have support. But you shouldn't just lean on that. When my personal view is, you shouldn't just lean on that support. You have to have an inner belief and say, no, I'm going to make this happen. And much like Marshall and I were talking about last week, have the appropriate goals for yourself so that you're not too hard on yourself. But yeah, I mean, I suppose I've got the ultimate now because I've got to make it happen because it's going to be a sellable product. So
You mentioned this a couple times actually. Well, you said it to Teresa, and then you just said it in general. Not to be too hard on yourself. That's something that a lot of people struggle with. Like that stops people. Like literally stops a lot of creative people.
yeah.
What is your perspective on that? Like, do you feel like you're able to not be too hard on yourself?
Well, we all know what it's like. You'll know. You go back to a page a year later and go, "Oh my God, did I draw that?" But the bigger the library of work you have, the more times you hit the nail. The closer you get to hitting the nail on the head, the closer you get not to perfection, but to at least a level where you can look at yourself and happily go, "Yeah, I'm getting somewhere now." And of course, the more work you make, the more chances you have of hitting the approximation of that level, so that you can be more relaxed about your work. So, for instance, the first graphic novel I ever did for Marcosia, when I finished it, I thought, yeah, it's great. And then 3 months later, I thought, no, that's awful. And now I look back on it and go, do you know what? That had some great growth in it. It shows me where, okay, I was doing some things wrong, but there was real promise in it. And it stood on its own. It's still not a bad graphic novel visually. It's not where I am now, but it's not bad. And just having that to underpin you to think, okay, I've grown from there, and that's not a bad start. So volume does help. And I think it's just growth. I think you've got to grow into it. It's not just going to be there straight away. You don't just think, I can do this, I'm the best ever. You do need outside support from that. My family have been incredibly supportive. You guys and all the people that I meet online, incredible support. It really sort of brings back your belief in human generosity and kindness when you do actually meet so many people who are prepared to give you their time and their effort and their thought. And that really helps. But if you're doing something like this, it does come back to you. You do have to have that drive and that confidence to say, no, I'm going in the right direction. But at the same time, like you were saying, we're all our own worst critics. You do have to be critical of yourself. And even more important, you have to go out and get honest criticisms from other people. That's vital. People, just giving it to your mum and your mum going, yeah, you're the greatest ever. That's not a valid criticism at all. The one of the first things I did that never got printed, actually, I showed it to my wife's grandmother, and she ripped it apart. She looked at it and went, that looks a bit weird. What's wrong with that arm? What's going on there? Because she had no filter. She was just looking at it going, well, I don't think much of that. So it was great to have that honest opinion because I looked at the art piece in a different way. Don't kick that bucket.
Sorry.
So yeah, it's hugely important to have honest, decent critiques.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right, and I think I don't know. It's critiques is good. I definitely agree as far as the critiques go. Like I don't always seek it out because sometimes I'm just like, I don't really want to hear people's thoughts on it. I'm just going to put it out anyways. So why would I stop myself?
There's no harm in that, but it's probably worthwhile getting a critique later on to see maybe what you can do with the next thing.
Yeah. For me, I've said it a million times, but I'm just really focused on producing as much as possible. And I think, there have been times when I've gotten critiques because I'm like, it's weird. Like, I think it's best for me to get critiques when I'm like, okay, I know there's something wrong with like this arm or this perspective or something. There's something going on here that I don't like, and I'm not gonna put it out like that because I just can't. It's too much. And then that's when I'll go and I'll tell people, like, this is the specific thing that I need help with. How do I get it to look right? That kind of critique I'm good with. But I can't just be like, okay, I just finished this project, or I'm getting close to finishing. I just want another eye on it. Let me know what's wrong with it, because then it'll get me stuck, and I'll start thinking about like all the things the person said, and like, do I even know how to fix that? Or like, I'll just get into this thing, and then it'll stop me from putting the thing out, and I can't get there.
It's fair enough. That's fair enough. Everyone's different. Everyone's different.
Oh yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah, for me, like the difficulty with critique is finding people that understand where I'm heading. Because like you can look at, especially with non-representational work, like we do cartooning. So like it's a style based, it's design based. It's not like, does this look like this apple? Yes, no. What can I do? So a lot of the times when I see critique, I have problems because I don't think people understand what I'm trying to get to, and maybe that's my fault because I'm not communicating that clearly enough. But like, and there's also people that come to me to get critique, like, can you give me critique on this? And they're doing like a modern comic book styles, and I was like, there's nothing I can tell you.
No, I
do not work with any of this. I have no idea.
I think you're perfectly within your rights not to ignore every critique you get. I mean, you don't have to take them on board. Sometimes critiques can be bad, but I just think it's important to hear them. The critiques I like most are the ones from people who don't read comics or don't, who aren't involved in the creative industry, because you get a very honest opinion from them, and it's not always about technique or about whether something's right or wrong. It's about whether something just doesn't sit right.
Yeah,
it's a very emotional response rather than so it's all very well going to some artist who's been doing it for 30 years and going, what do you think of my work? And he's saying, maybe those hands could do with some work. And it's like, yeah, that's very specific, or it's very focused on the technique and ability. Whereas if you show it to someone who's outside of it all and just gives you an emotional response to it, going, well, something not right about that. Or no, that looks great. That really works for me. I can't see anything wrong. Then you're getting that emotional response. It's like an overall sort of response to something, which is really kind of like comics are kind of like that. Us as artists, we can sit and look at a comic book page and go, no, they've got that wrong. That doesn't look right. But if it flows, we're just seeing it because we can see that stuff.
Yeah.
And someone outside will just go, oh, that looks great. It's like someone said to me about art. It's like, there's a person who's like this fabulous artist. Okay, they're the best artist in the world, and there's someone who's just started. Okay, and so imagine they're making cakes. So the person who's the fabulous artist is just like, it's got this fantastic huge cake, loads of tears, all this design on it, and it's gorgeous. And the guy that's just started, or the girl that's just started, has got like a little cupcake. Okay. And the person who comes to see the art or eat the cake just goes, cake. They don't care. They just don't give a monkeys which cake it is. It's just cake, and cake's a wonderful thing. And it's that interpretation, that joy that you give to people who aren't necessarily looking for those. They're not looking to critique you. They're just looking to enjoy what you're showing them. Those are the great critiques, because they're, like I say, they're very emotional.
Yeah, I think there's two things here. Like if you get a general critique, like I agree with you. I've got critiques from my especially my mom and my sister when they look at my things. It's like, why are their mouths so big? And it's like, well, it is my style. And then I look at it, it's like the mouth is pretty big. Yeah, it's big. And I remember showing one of my first comics to my sister, and she's like, "Why is everything going so fast?" I was like, "Nothing's going fast. You're going fast." And then she was right. Like
Yeah.
my pacing was a bit off, and they just can't tell you exactly how technically to solve that. That's something you have to figure out later with the experts. But I think it's great to get that overall impression from someone from the outside. Like your pacing is off, and then you go to an expert. It's like, how can I fix my pacing? And that's your job. You have to fix that. But that general impression comes from very, very strongly from people who has no filters, which is great.
Yeah. No filters are great. Yeah.
Stinch says, my friend's Discord got a dedicated sleeping room the admins can drop people into in case they fall asleep. Hot on the mic. We definitely need that, I think, in our Discord. Is that what the AFK thing is, Teresa?
Yeah, that's when people are inactive for a little while. They just drop to the AFK.
So do they automatically drop there?
They automatically drop. Yeah, you get a notification that says you haven't said anything in a while. You're going AFK, and if you don't click don't, you go.
I need to add that to my thing because we could definitely use that. Gibran's in here. What's up, Gibran? He's got he also has an Indiegogo you guys should check out. In fact, here let's look at it real quick. I'm gonna screen share here again. How do we do this? I happen to have it open. He's got Doomed Barbarian here.
Yeah, I got that.
Yep,
back that the other day.
I'm looking forward to this thing, and yeah, it's a barbarian thing, and it's got comedy stuff like that. It's hand painted, pretty cool. You might have seen Gibran on Jeff Lafferty's Artcasters, them both doing their awesome painted artwork. And yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. It looks like a fun ride. I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's got a little skin there if you like that. And then there's also another cool thing is I don't know if it's like anybody who backs it or how it's structured, but he's got these mini comics that he's created. And I think those are going to be included in at least some of the tiers. I'm not sure exactly who gets what. But yeah, check out Gibran's Doomed Barbarian and help back it. It's 26% to its goal, 7 backers and 25 days left. I have confidence in both of these Indiegogos. I think they are going to fund. You get your initial support, and then it always goes through this time of like kind of quietness and whatnot. But it'll keep going once I think more streams you go on, and at the end it always kicks up and stuff. So yeah, check that stuff out, guys and gals. So let's see what else. Let's get back to that. I don't know how to say this name, but hello. I don't want to butcher it. Wasada, hello. And again, I'm probably messing it up. Nero, we got people in here. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, what you guys think of some of the stuff we've been talking about. Let's see. I'm just seeing if there's any questions or anything. Feel free to drop in some questions.
Mike's here.
Oh,
everyone. Mike's here. Mike did a fantastic ink for me for one of the tiers in the campaign. It's got a real 2000 AD vibe to it. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
We have Kelly in here as well. Hello, Kelly. Let's see. Yeah, Mike did a great job on that. Sorry, I kind of glossed over that for a second, but yeah, he was showing he was showing that stuff off. I was loving it. Like it looks really cool. It's got like yeah, what'd you say, like 2000 AD? I feel like it's got like
it's got a bit of that to it. Yeah, it's
or something type of vibe.
It's got a real good vibe to it. I really, really like it. There's people that have claimed it already. So
oh, is there is it
it's on the campaign. Yeah, I got 4 artists to do 4 different inks. And I wanted to give them go away as pin-ups. So they're coloured pin-ups in the book, but you can also get them as black and white A4 prints to come with the book.
Yeah,
for a very reasonable price.
So, that being said, I think I said this in the last stream. I know you said you'd make a tier like in the background just for me,
but if you want one, yeah.
I think that maybe other people might even like having this tier, just the one with just the prints, because there's certain options that have combinations, but I wanted to get the book with something. I think I got a book with a sketch, but I also want the prints. So I'd like to just buy the prints as well, you know.
Okay. Yeah, I'll put something up. I can just put prints up.
Should do it. Call it the Marsh tier.
Yeah, the Marsh tier. Yeah.
Marsh wants prints tier.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Or actually, what I suppose what I should have done is maybe put the head sketch up as an add-on, so that you could add it on anywhere else if you wanted to.
There you go.
I'll sort something out for you.
Thanks. Lane Vision Official says, I think we sometimes forget that we only have one life, and on top of all the work we do, we should try to enjoy our life. I like that.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I did. I got rid of a lot of financial pressure by downsizing the house. We moved so that I could do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And that made a massive. It was definitely a lifestyle choice. It's like, bigger, more bedrooms, cars. All these things don't make you happy.
True.
Like the lifestyle makes me happy. It's not just me having phone calls in the middle of the day. It's not just me having the ability to work on comics and illustration as a freelancer, but also the time I get with my family as well.
Yeah, I think this is something that we don't talk about half as often as we should, and is the fact that if you want to do these things and you take them half seriously, like I think the 3 of us do, and a lot of people in the chat do, there's a certain decision, a certain infrastructure that you have to create, and certain things that you have to give up. So you can't be making your comic while having a big house or a corporate job or holidays in Thailand, or all of that is not going to happen.
No,
unless your comic magically blows up and suddenly you're like drawing your comic while you're having your holiday in Thailand. I don't know. It's just one of the things that I did in order to be able to draw, and I was going to make a video about this, is like creating an infrastructure. And it's like there were like 3 things that I wanted. I wanted time. I wanted to improve my skill. And I wanted a space of mind, because a lot of the times it's not even that you don't have the time or the skill, is that when you finish with work, all your mind space is cluttered and you have no energy left. So even if you have a few hours, you're just like, how do I hold a pencil? Like, even when you do have the skill, Yeah, so I remember coming back from work and trying to draw, and it's like, is this a table? Is this a pencil? Like you're out of it completely.
Yeah, you wasted mentally from it. That's tough.
And then you can say like, oh, I'm gonna be a weekend warrior. I'm gonna use all my weekends, but like the pressure that puts on your social life, and it's like, would I rather have an X amount of salary and a good holiday or whatever, or would I rather have my weekends to be with my family and friends? It's like little decisions like that to create the infrastructure that you need to create your comics.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure how you do that, but little by little, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose it is. I mean, it depends. I'm also at a point in my life where I'm probably unemployable as well, so that helps. it kind of helps the decision of kind of, okay, I'm going to go do this because I've got nothing else. But no, it is tricky. I mean, I would even say, the work that I put in for my clients as well, it's still that much better than than being in an agency like I was up until 2000. It was that was hard work, and you were mentally and emotionally drained by that because they wanted their pound of flesh out of you.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. I wonder if it's in a way more worth it to have a job that is not related to the arts, or maybe like Mars does.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I've thought maybe I should have just been a civil servant or in the police or something for 35 years and then taken the retirement fund.
That's another option. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if I look back, and maybe I'd have done that. I don't know. I have enjoyed what I've done, so there's no regrets.
There you go.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. While I do agree, about the social life, and often that's what will distract me, because I do like my family, and
At times.
I do value people over, this. And lately I have been trying to make the hard decisions to prioritize this, even when family wants to do things. I did that a lot this weekend and still had problems. But, like yesterday, I was, we had like a kind of a cookout here, and it was kind of in the middle of it. And, I just kind of went downstairs and had a live stream for about an hour and then came back, and I don't think anybody even noticed. But I would have told them, but it's just like it's within the chaos. Like it was like, who do I inform? What do I, do I talk to everybody about this, or
who's the manager here?
I'm like, they are busy, happy doing their thing. Like, I bet they won't even notice, and I was right. But that being said, I think it really just depends on where you're at, what needs to be important for you, and things like that. To me, this needs to be a priority. I'm at a place where I feel like if I don't do it now, I'm running out of time, not that I do have a lot of time, but at the same time, if I want to do, like, my dreams are a lot bigger than the immediate stuff, and if I want to get to those big things, I have to get going on this. So I'm really passionate about it, and one way that I kind of keep motivated is I purposefully motivate myself, on the way. This is the tough part, because I get all my like good energy is wasted on the side hustle, aka my day job, and and so when I get home, I do my exercise, which is also something that's important to prioritize, and I eat my dinner and stuff, and then by the time I'm done with all that, I'm tired, and it's like, now it's really hard for me to get myself to work on stuff. And I haven't found the key 100% to that, but one thing that helps is, if while I'm running, I'll throw on like some kind of podcast or YouTube video about art or about comics, or, one of my go-tos is Gary Vaynerchuk. He's super motivational. He'll get you hustling. So, I try to intentionally inspire myself,
No, that's a good thing to do. It is with people like us. It is built in. You have to do something about it, and if it doesn't, then it eats at you. So it's always a good idea to let it out, so that do something creative. I know that sounds very trite, but it's true. It will eat at you if it's something that you truly need to do, and so you may choose the life of of a creator where you don't get, like you say, the holidays in Thailand and the big car and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But you will be happier because
Yeah.
it will be what you truly are. It will be what you want to do. I mean, it's not a good idea to tell everybody to just have this blanket. You can be whatever you want to be, because the world isn't like that. There are real problems, everyday problems to cope with, but you do have to be true to yourself in order to gain that happiness, to be comfortable with yourself. So make sure you do something about it.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because like Marsh just put a comment that was about what I was gonna say, in related to what you were saying, Russ. Is like this. Well, it says I'm 24 years old and curious to what advice would you give your 24-year-old self? So like when I was 20 something, I decided that I didn't want to be an artist because it's a stupid choice of a career, and I still to this day think that is entirely true. It's a bad choice for a career. But what I didn't realize is what Russ is saying is that there is no getting away from it. And that's the, like, if I had a choice to just have a normal job, come home, hang out with my friends, and, like that's a better life, to be honest. But I can't choose that life because every time during those, I don't know, I was like 6 years, 7 years, no, more or less, yeah, 8 years or so without drawing or anything because I had decided to quit. But then it's what you're saying, like it eats at you. So you cannot ignore it. You cannot, even if you decide and you're very rational, and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, I mean, I stopped buying comics because it was eating at me.
Yeah,
It was
I
like
stopped reading them as well. Yeah, it was like it was horrible.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to be doing this.
On the flip side from that, and this is probably pertinent to the question about what advice would you give if you want to be in the creative industry, then do something that's at least mildly creative. So try and be you could go for being a designer, graphic designer, book design, retail design. That everybody requires UI design. You'd actually get paid probably more if you do UI design, user interface. So there's all kinds of places you can be creative without actually going the whole hog and being the poor artist. but there are places you can go, and I was fortunate enough to have done that prior to coming back to illustration. So it really comes down to your passions. My passion was definitely comic books, and that's what ate at me. If it was just about being creative, I probably would have been fairly happy with the lot that I'd given myself. But I really felt I needed to illustrate, and even more, directly, I needed to draw comics or sequential art. So I've done storyboards as well and stuff like that, and it's definitely scratched the itch. I'm so much happier for doing it. So you just have to find out what level of creativity is going to make you feel comfortable. Like I was saying earlier, you just got to be honest with yourself, find it.
Yeah. I have some thoughts about it as well, but just wanted to check in with you, Russ. It's getting close to.
Oh God, it is. It's getting close to me rushing off.
If you want to jump off, feel free to.
Yeah, I think I might need to go and I've got a boomer bladder now. I'm getting on.
Well, let me just once again let people know about the project real quick and where they can find you, and then we'll.
Yeah, you can find Doomed Barbarian at Indiegogo. It's fabulous, but it's not mine. It's Gibran's.
I thought I'm trying to...
But it is a great project. I've backed it, so should you. You can find me at russleach.com, comicbookblackbelt.com. You can find out about my book, Only Death Can Save Us, at onlydeathcansavus.com. And there is a link there to this campaign on Indiegogo where you can buy a book or some prints or all kinds of stuff. There's some great stuff on there. And it's Bronze Age inspired, and it's all about fun and action and adventure. You can also find me on the Twitter, on the Fleecebook, on Parlay, and on Instagram. I just type my name in, you'll find me. I'm always available to speak about comic book art and art. No drama, just comic books.
Awesome. And I'm popping that link in the chat right now.
Thank you.
Again, Russ, it's always awesome having you on. We're going to continue for a little bit. But yeah, everybody go check out his stuff, and you go take care of what you need to take care
of course. I'm on YouTube as well. Comic Book Black Belt. You can find me there. Thank you for having me on. Thank you to the chat. Well, fantastic questions. Wonderful people. I don't spend enough time in the AAA Discord. There are great people in there, and thank you to Marsh for being there and putting that together. Teresa and Marsh, you are wonderful people. Wonderful people. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to see you around. Night all. See ya. Bye.
Alrighty. What's your time like, Teresa? I don't want to overextend your stuff either.
No, I'm all right. If I have to jump out, I'll just say goodbye.
Okay, cool. We'll keep going for a little while. I see Yanimals in there. Feel free, if other people Jan, I think you're in the group of people who get the link, but if you're not, I'd be happy to send out the link to you if you wanted to hang out or something. But we can still have some people jump on here and there if we want. Let me just get this navigate out of this thing. So yeah, Lame Vision Official, once again, I like what Russ and Teresa were saying for sure. Another aspect that I think of when I think of this question is you may or may not, at 24, you have your whole life ahead of you. Like, I wish I was 24 right now. But usually there's a couple positions that you might be at least that I would feel like I would find myself at. For me, I got distracted. I knew I wanted to do comic books, but then all of a sudden I wanted to do music too. And I got distracted by music, and it is what it is. There's that saying, about like you make your plans and God laughs or something. Like maybe I don't have as much control sometimes as I think I do. Although I do believe in kind of taking control of your own destiny. But that being said, you may not know what you want. A lot of 24-year-olds aren't sure exactly what they want. I feel like I kind of knew what I wanted, but then I wanted something else too. So that was where I kind of slipped up. But if I just focused on comics right from then, I don't know, maybe I'd be in a bit different place. Maybe it is one of those things where I'm better off now that I'm focusing now, because back then the same kind of opportunities weren't available, and I didn't have the discipline necessarily to work at it like you should if you wanted to be like the options to do this back then were, you got to get, connected with a publishing company, and if in order to do that, you got to be good enough, and in order to do that, you got to compete with a lot of other people who want to do the same thing. Now I don't have to deal with that so much. I do still, I still have to make something good enough that people will like, but it's more contingent on me creating my own audience, and that's something that I actually have an enjoyment for, and like doing. So, maybe it's better off that I didn't really focus on it until now. But that being said, I also went through a lot of time of not being 100% sure exactly what I want to do, because again, I got, distracted by music. And even when I did start doing comics, I got distracted by like 10 other different forms of art as well. Like I wanted to paint, I wanted to do designer toys, I wanted to do this and that, sculpting, whatever, like anything and everything that was creative that came my way, I wanted to do it, and it wasn't until maybe 5 or so years ago that I really was like, you know what, it's comics or bust. That's what I really want to do. You know, I even went through a time where I was like, I don't know if I want to do comics, but like Teresa was saying earlier, the bug just kind of it hits you, and it's something you almost can't deny at some point. And it's like, okay, I guess I've been destined to be a slave to this comic medium. Um, and so you kind of come to terms with it. And now I know that, and knowing that is huge, you know, and now I can move forward without having to get so distracted. I'll probably still get distracted in some ways, but so, you know, the reason why I bring all that up, I probably shouldn't have gone into all that, but you may not know exactly what you want, but this is a great time right now for you to try anything and everything, you know. And the thing is you may think you want one thing, and it down the road it might have turned into this, and then something else, and then that, and then you find out I actually really found something that I love to do, and it wasn't what I intended in the first place, you know. I probably wouldn't have been as happy doing the thing I thought I was going to do, you know. So some people do that, and they realize they actually just would rather be an illustrator. They don't want to do storytelling in comics, you know, and that's totally fine, you know. So there's you have a lot of time. Take the time to play around, experiment, try everything your heart desires, within, you know, the realm of, you know, not being a criminal. And,
We assume that I
yeah, exactly. Well, I always worry, like, you know, you're on this platform, it's like I don't want to tell people do whatever you want, and then they're
do
like,
whatever
okay.
you want, and then they go like, you know, cause mayhem in the streets.
And then they'll be like, you know, they'll be like this school shooting, and they'll be like, I did it because I watched a Marsh Makes Comics video.
He was talking about comics, but I understood he was talking about genocide, and here we are.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, well, yeah, obviously, if you're gonna kill someone, I discourage you strongly from doing that. However, like I say, I don't know. What I think the most important thing for me is if I went back to my 24-year-old self and I'm trying to visualize that self, the most important thing is that I felt that I had to. It was like musical chairs, right? I felt like the music had stopped, and I had to find a place. And there was this urgency of I need to get a job, I need to get a relationship, I need to get like all these tick box things, I need to sit in that chair. And it's like, thinking back now, it's so ridiculous. That mindset is so ridiculous, because what you're gonna do is you're gonna rush, you're gonna sit in some crappy place, you're gonna rot there for 8 years, and then you're gonna realize, why am I here? And it doesn't make any sense. So as Marsh says, like, take your time, take it easy. It's not a competition, you're not in a race, you're not old. And you know, life is more than just getting those titles and those tick boxes. So if you're 24 and you're an artist and you're a little bit lost, stop trying to tick those boxes and start getting really excited about your own work and your own experiences and learning journey. That's what I would say.
Yeah, totally.
Because it's so easy to, at that age, I think, to feel like you're behind and that you need to catch up by doing something desperate, like getting the first job you see, getting together with the first person you see, you know, like that urgency.
Yeah.
Hey!
Jan, how's it going, dude?
It's going pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All the way over in the Philippines.
I'm just a little confused with the screens right now. Just give me 1 second.
That's all right. Nero says, making money is hard, doing what you love. It's a business skill and art skill overall. Yeah. I mean, they're two separate things, right? Making money and, you know, doing the thing you love, you know, but you can combine them successfully, I believe. So, yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, so the potential is there.
Yeah, you're not guaranteed anything though, so don't get mad if you don't.
True. I like this. Mike's here. No drama, just comics. Only Russ can save us. I love it.
Where was I?
Let's see. Comics with Chris says, great advice, Marsh. Thanks. I'm glad it's helpful. Music is very much art too. Nero's hitting us with the bombs. You grow and find what you want. Totally. Here we go. All right, let's see what Chris says here. He said he was leaving, then he commented more. He must have been able to come back. I used to want to be a comic artist that makes YouTube videos, but now I realize I enjoy making videos, so I feel I'm leaning more towards being a YouTuber that makes comics, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely makes sense to me. I'm kind of that way too. Although, I think the ratio for me is still heavier on the comics, but I really like both a lot. And to me, making the videos is just as important, if not more important. Because I mean, you have to make the comics. Like, if you don't actually make the comics, then it doesn't work. If you want to make comics, but that being said, like, the promotional side is in the marketing and just the community and stuff is the part that artists tend to lack, and that's the part that we need. We need awareness. Awareness is huge. That's the part we have a hard time with. And the having a publishing company is the hack that we as artists have used traditionally to get that awareness. But even then, it might not be enough. So and especially in these days and times, I don't know, I believe you could do it all different kind of ways, but for me, YouTube's the way I choose because I really like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, for me, YouTube is something I do because, as you say, I'm trying to get out to the world. Like, this is what I do. This is who I am. These are my comics. I'm trying to let people know what I'm doing. Because if you're doing comics in your room without telling anybody, then nobody's ever going to read them. And that would be fine for me personally. But it's not fine because if people don't know they exist, they're not going to pay for them. I'm not going to get money for them. And therefore, I'm not going to get time to make more of them. So if there was a world where I could
Very
just
true.
sit in my room, get money, and nobody knows about it, I would make comics and not worry about promotion. But that's not that's not real. You need people to know about it, and the more money you get from them, the more time you have to make them, and that's the important thing, right? Well, I don't know. Maybe some people want to be famous or something, but I don't think that's my case.
I want my creations to be famous, but I don't care if I am. So Jan, what's up, man? How you doing?
Yes, I'm fully connected. I was just connected to the TV. I was watching you on the TV, and then
Oh, we're
with
famous.
the AirPods, it all got very confused.
It can
Got a
be
little
confusing.
feedback. All is well. I was just thinking about what you were saying, like with like advice you give your 24-year-old self. The time we live in, and like the YouTube thing, because it's all connected. I mean, like there's so many more opportunities for people today to make it on their own without the aid of a publisher or any kind of business backing them, as your own freelancing, self-sustained company from home.
Yep.
And at the same time, it is a job unto itself to be on YouTube or social media and to try and promote something that is yourself. Like, I think one of the things that I noticed with there's this thing in music, like when you look at music from decades ago, you tend to find that there's all these incredible musicians, and you look at them, and there's there's a little bit of video footage here and there, but music videos didn't really come into their own until the mid 80s. Not that they didn't exist at all, but like there's this thing where you notice that really talented musicians weren't always really attractive people in the 50s and 60s.
Rolling
And
Stones.
there's this thing where marketing and visual marketing, can really play into things other than the art that you want to do, right? And so I can't help but notice that when you look at pop music nowadays, like everyone is so incredibly attractive that because that's what they have to be in order to make it in the landscape. And with artists like ourselves, traditionally speaking, I'm not saying we're not attractive people. I'm just saying, traditionally speaking, we tend to be locked in our houses and just work from home. Even in the 60s and 70s, they were just working from home, and you don't really have to go out and meet people. And the downside of having to promote yourself online is that you have to become a much more outgoing personality who's good on camera, and that is a completely separate skill.
Yep.
And you can learn that on your own. And a lot of kids seem to really dig into this, like, in their teens now. It didn't exist when we were younger. So in that sense, I'm a little envious of being 24. But that being said, art is art. And if you want to do comics, you're going to have to put in the work. And depending on the kinds of comics you want to be making, it's going to eat up a lot of your time. So
Totally.
that's my 2 cents.
Right.
I like it. It makes a lot of sense. Ronnie's here. What's up, Ronnie?
And I'm completely locked off.
What's that?
Oh, no.
No, you're here. Oh, you're not here. Oh, you're here.
You're here. You're not here. You're here. Yeah. It's like peekaboo. Yeah, I mean, I love what you said about, this whole thing of like the visual element, and music is always such a great metaphor for everything when it comes to this kind of thing to me. And it's true, and it's really sad, that in popular music, it's not music first anymore. It's image first. Some people get hired just because they happen to be like absolutely stunning, but you do have to you kind of have to bring the whole package, I think. But that part is part of it. But to me, it's not so important because just like you said, like, you got all these amazing artists that came out back in the day, and you heard the music and you're like, I got to find out who this is. You don't care what they look like, it doesn't matter. And I also, to your point, not saying anybody's, ugly. I think beauty is, I don't know. I think a lot of people are pretty generally attractive, pretty much. So maybe everybody in some way is really. But that being said, it doesn't matter. It's almost like a name. Like we sometimes something that'll hold us up sometimes is, what is the name I'm going to be known for, or what is the name that my character is going to be called, or what is the name of my comic, or whatever it is. And sometimes it's hard to decide. And if you find something that's okay, but it's like, I don't know if this is the best name, sometimes it's good to just settle on that okay name, because when it comes down to it, people are not going to think that much about the actual name once they find out what the story is about or what you're about. They'll assimilate, they'll think of you when they hear the name after a while, or they'll think of the character when they think of the name. Because there's been some, a lot of even of the superhero stuff, like Superman, like what a lame name, Batman, Spider-Man, it's not the most amazing thing in the world, but now we know when I think Spider-Man, I think of something really cool. I don't think of the fact that that's a cheesy name,
Yeah. John, you're muted, by the way. You're muted. I don't know what you did, but you muted yourself. but we've been seeing your faces, so we know your reaction. I was going to say,
Okay.
like, one of the things that I think is important in this whole discussion, we're talking about like superstars in the music, but apart from those superstars that are working with the biggest companies that can promote them internationally, apart from those people, there's other working musicians that are also making a living out of music and probably are perfectly happy not to be touring around the world, going from one city to another in one day and not even getting out of the plane and the stage. Like, I think a lot of the times I know that when I was younger, especially like a teenager, I used to perceive success as being like you either make it with one of these huge things or you're a loser. I had this mentality.
Yeah, right.
And then I came across this idea that I think it's a Japanese saying or something. It says like better be the head of the mouse than the tail of the lion. And it's this idea that a lot of the times when you're in these huge, powerful organizations, you're just the tail. You're just what is visible, and you don't have that much power. You don't have that much say on in anything. And if you're the head of the mouse, it's like you're something very small, but you are the one calling the shots and deciding things. So sometimes aiming for something great great inverted commas, like trying to aim really high is, when I was younger, I didn't realize just how little power, little control, and little personal agency you have in those big organizations. And maybe what you really want to be doing is not going indie, but making your own way, being the head of the mouse. Just being small is not bad, and a lot of the times you find a lot of happiness, a lot of fulfillment, and a lot of creativity in those things. And as well, if you look back to people that have made great things and that were not particularly popular at the time, like Einstein, for example, he was working in an office somewhere, and he was scratching time
patent
to
office, yeah.
a patent office. That's the one. And then he was going home and saying like, oh, this whole relativity thing, let's have a look at it. And he just little chipped away at it until he found something great. So even if you're doing something small after your
That's
day
true.
job, or even if you're doing something that appears to be small, like, I don't know, Edgar Allan Poe, he was writing, or Kafka, he was he was working where he was also a public worker, wasn't he? He was in Prague and he was working, I think, at
I
an
don't know
office.
about Kafka, actually.
He worked at an office for sure. But then he went home and wrote short stories. And then now there's an adjective that comes from his name. Like, you can do great things even if you're not backed by a huge marketing campaign and everybody knows you.
Totally.
And well, maybe all of your work will never be known. That's another thing. But that doesn't take away the fact that you're doing great things. And you know what I mean?
Totally.
Better be the head of the mouse than the tail of the lion. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
I like the expression.
Yeah, I think it's a Japanese
Yeah, but
thing.
I don't. I was just. It's just one of those things. Like it's a blessing to have, like, in this day and age, for all of us, that to have the whole world is basically available to you. Like, you don't have to get lucky with a publisher deal in order to get your work out. And there are so many examples of people who do really well on the internet.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like one of the things I was kind of trying to bring up is that it does mean you have to be able to put on a lot of different hats. Like, you're gonna have to be able to do a lot of different jobs just by yourself.
Yeah.
And I for me personally, I've not been on YouTube in the last couple of months because it's just there's only so much time. So I live, I make my comic, and I go easy on the videos for now.
Yeah. And we miss them, but you got to do what you got to do. Speaking about that, how's the comic going?
It's going pretty good. I've got about 25 pages inked, like fully drawn, inked, colored. I've got a new set of 8 pages fully inked.
Mm-hmm.
I've got, what is it? I don't know if this will show up, but this is the sketch for page 9.
Oh, here,
So,
let me
it's looking
expand
a
your
little rough.
view here.
It's
I'll
there.
take this comment down real quick. All right, cool.
So that's what I'm working on. And I'm probably going to do another 5 pages and then go into the coloring of all these new pages and then the lettering.
Wow.
And that's the part of the comic I'm least looking forward to. But
Yeah.
I have to. I have to learn.
Any chance of hiring somebody to help you with some of that, or no?
You guys still there?
Yeah. Do you hear me? I'm here. I hear you. Let's see. Let me go into the private chat here, wherever it is. Here we go.
Mhm.
I hear you, but I guess you don't hear me. All right, so we'll see. Hopefully, he can figure that thing out.
See if you guys are still online.
We'll see. Let's see. Go back to this view, or was that the view? We were
You're back.
You hear me now?
I can't hear a thing, but I'm starting to think that's me.
Huh. All right. Total Comics says, do you hear me, Teresa?
Okay.
Yeah,
sounds
sorry,
on
there was
TV.
someone at the door. There was someone at the door, so I had to go
Yeah, that's fine.
get it. Sorry, I
um,
didn't want to interrupt.
yeah, no, we were talking, but then Jan was having some problems with the audio.
Oh,
so
sorry.
I don't know if he can hear us.
Yeah. I can hear you all.
Cool.
It's all good.
So Total Comics says, is it better to have a style or to just adapt? If you Google hashtag VD, I don't know what that is, you'll see I don't have a clear style. Okay, so that must be his stuff. I just bounce around from project to project. Should I stick to just one?
I think this guy is probably like French or something. BD is like bande dessinée, is comics in French. So VTVD, or maybe I'm making stuff up. I don't know. I'm not gonna make assumptions.
What do you think about that? Should you stick to a style or adapt and to whatever different styles? Or
Okay, I have opinions on style, but I'm not gonna tell you what to do. Okay, my opinion is that you should pick a style that you can do effortlessly if you're gonna do comics. Because in my opinion, comics are something that you have to produce quickly in order to get the stories out to people and produce enough. And if it's something that is taking you ages, then maybe it's not the best. It's great for an illustration, but it's not the best for the comic pages itself. That is my opinion on a style, but just for comics. And whether you should stick for any other reason to any other style, I don't think so. I don't think you should stick to a style just because you should. That's my opinion.
Well, I think that there are advantages to sticking to a style if it's a very distinct style and it's a very appealing style. That was kind of the model of the Image guys, you know, Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, Todd McFarlane, Eric Larson. You know, these guys all have their distinct style and voice. And they kind of, you know, stuck to it. Eric Larson has played around with different styles since then, but he always comes back to that style or whatever that he generally does. All of them have played around here and there, but for the most part, they stick with their general style, and that has worked. And if they enjoy that and don't feel like they need to explore, then that's okay. So there can be an advantage. There's also that kind of marketing advantage to that. You know, I want to see, you know, my character or some certain character drawn in Todd McFarlane's style. That's kind of a cool thing. You know, but that being said, if you're having a hard time sticking to a style, you know, and this is advice to myself as well, because I struggle with this. But if you're having a hard time sticking to one style, then just let it be. You know, do the thing you feel like doing. for me, I tend to pretty much do every comic in a different style that kind of goes with that particular story. You know, like I have a style in mind for a lot of the different projects that I do. That being said, I think there's a style that I just can't like. There's a something like when people see my work, I've been told that they can tell that, oh, that's Marsha's work, you know. Um, I don't even know what that is. I don't get it. Like I think I kind of see it, but it's hard for me to tell because I feel like I'm always doing something different every time I draw. But apparently there is. So you might not be able to get away from some of it too, anyways.
Yep. And the other thing is like if you want your style to crystallize and show itself to you, then go for a 200-page comic, and you know it will show itself. It will appear in front of you before you, because a lot of the times when you're doing an illustration, it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna try this and that, and when I do illustrations, yeah, my style is there, but I can do a lot of variations and I can force it a lot and I can
Yeah.
stretch it a lot. But when you're doing a comic and you're on a deadline and you're like, I need to get pages out, I need to get pages out, your natural style will appear in front of you and will start to develop and improve. So I don't know, maybe it's just because I like comics and I think comics are a great school of, you know, how style. But go for a longer comic if you've done short ones already, and you'll see it happen. It's quite interesting how it happens as well.
That's interesting. I probably haven't really done that myself, so it'll be interesting to see whenever I finally do something more than like 8 pages. Well, I've done 13 pages, I've done 20 pages, but again, they've all been in different styles in a funny way. But yeah, I think you're right. Jan, do you hear us this any yet, or doesn't
Nope.
sound like it? But you know what? I think it's pretty awesome that we get to watch his art.
Yeah.
I love his stuff. Jan definitely has a style, I think.
I think he can hear us, but he can't be heard.
That's okay. We get to benefit from seeing his stuff.
Yeah. So good.
Clay says it's a great conversation. Thanks, man. Kelly's favorite singer is 3 Days Grace. Cool. Let's see what else we got here. Here we go. Lame Vision's got the insightful talking points today. Thanks for all the extra content here. Very true. Although I'm still struggling with how much of my personal life I should put into my social media, but it seems people really like to know the artists. What do you think about that?
We were talking about this before, weren't we? Before we went live. Well, it's like everything. It depends on your values and it depends on who you are. I have my own view of what the internet is and what I should do and not do on the internet. I think a lot of people appreciate knowing the artist. For one, they feel like they can trust the artist, and if they get a product out, they are guaranteed almost that they will get it and it will be okay. And that's part of it. But I think a huge part of it is that a lot of us, we are alone in our rooms drawing, and we just like to feel like there's someone there that we're talking to, that we're connecting with. I think that has a name. It's called like parasocial relationship. So it's like when you feel you know someone, it feels like you have a friend. So I think a lot of it is that, and I think it's okay to use that, but at the same time, I'm always really concerned about how it's not true. These people are not my friend. I don't know them. They feel like they know me because I am posting things, but I don't know anything about them. And I sometimes it's even bad because they say, "Hey, how are you doing?" And it's like, I don't know who you are. And it's really strange, and I struggle with it a lot. And I think a lot of it is an illusion. So, in my opinion, you should post things that are useful, informative, or positive, or that you think are going to contribute to something. But I don't think you should put your whole self on the internet unless you want to encourage those parasocial relationships, and that's your thing because you want to feel like you're part of something and you want a community or something like that. I don't know.
That's really interesting, and I think I mean it's pretty obvious. I talk about community all the time, and I've got community going, like crazy going on here. Um, so I definitely like the community aspect. A big part of it is a need to have friends,
Yeah.
not feel lonely. I mean, a lot of times, I'm hanging out and I'm like, I've had a hard time doing the writing part of comics because I can't do that with people around. I have to be by myself, and I have that craving to go into the voice chats and hang out, or to do a live stream. Which maybe part of that is why I need to do YouTube, because I don't know, maybe it's unhealthy. It could be unhealthy. I don't know.
Everything could be unhealthy.
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm okay with it. We'll see. We'll see if I'm like in a mental institution 5 years from now. But
Doing your streams from the mental institution.
yeah, yes. But that being said, to the question, you do have to know your limits. You need to know your boundaries, and you need to protect those boundaries. You can't, you know, I'm learning that, personally, not necessarily. I mean, yes, in social media too, but just even in my own life, that's a big theme right now for me. Learning about boundaries and how to keep those boundaries. Um, but that being said, how much of your personal life do you let out? Now, it really has to do with what you're comfortable with and what you feel safe with, and also what makes sense. Um, what makes sense, just on a logical level. You do want to be careful, and this is something that I have a hard time with, because I am pretty much an open book generally. And I have to be careful what I let out, and I am careful. I try to make sure, like, nobody sees, bank statements or something, whatever weird things that might happen to be in my room or something, like, personal information or something. Like if my credit card happens to be lying out somewhere, I don't want that. um, but so I definitely have to be careful of that. But I have something very personal, very uh, impactful in my life happening right now, and I haven't really said what it is, but I've said many times that I have something like that, and I am going to mention it eventually. um, but even then, I'm just going to mention it, and I'm not going to go into it deeply. There's certain things that you need to keep private,
Yeah.
and usually that has to do with like family and stuff. I've also talking a lot, you can get into tricky situations sometimes, because it's easy just to slip, and so one thing I heard a friend say actually very recently, and I've always thought this and I agree with it, but sometimes I'm trying to make sure I do that, but it's possible to slip as well. But you know be open. If you feel comfortable being open about yourself, then do that, obviously within reason, be safe. But if it's somebody else's stuff, you just be careful. You shouldn't be open about other people's stuff. That's for them to be open to about, or not be open about. So that's one boundary that I think is really good, something that I need to make sure I do for sure. um, and but I do think there is a value to being open about stuff too. There's that authenticity, there's that transparency. I don't know, to me, I enjoy hearing people talk about their lives, even when they get into a lot of different details. I mean, there's people on YouTube who are just vloggers, and they vlog their life, and they vlog all kinds of things, like all their trips and stuff with their family and all that stuff. And I don't think there's anything really wrong with that either. I mean, you have to be careful. Again, you have to know your boundaries, because sometimes you can get into that world and you can get into that thing where you almost become obsessive, and now I need to document everything in my life. And that's probably not healthy. But I do like the fact of kind of getting an inside view, and I am interested in even what kind of cereal somebody might eat or something, so I'm not the type of person who would probably vlog like that, because I'm very shy, and putting my camera around all over the place, in my daily life doesn't feel comfortable. But sometimes I wish I could, because I think that stuff is interesting.
Yep.
So it's a judgment call on your own, but there are some basic things to keep in your mind. Let's see what else we got here. Do. Look at this, like Jan he just puts out, he's a drawing machine, man.
Yeah. I have that pen. It doesn't work like that with me, but I have it. I have it right here, actually.
Nice. See, you would think that if you had just had the same pen that Jan had, you could draw as good as him. It's funny. Stanley asked his wife, and she told him, just make the comic you want to make. True that.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if she told him that just because he was talking too much about it. It's like, just quit your yapping and just make the comic.
Just do it. Shut up.
I heard that story, and I thought that that's why I would say that. It's like, will you just make the comic and stop talking about it?
Here we go. Comics with Chris. Marsh, where did you get that shirt? Is it a shirt design in your shop or something? I would like one when I get some cash. Yeah, created to be creative. Wow, that's I need to say that more, because that's like a phrase that I feel like I came up with, because I didn't ever hear it when I said it, but I've heard since then. I've seen other people have said it, who aren't connected to me. But yeah, there's what was it, Amazon merch. I think they still have that as a program, and I was trying to do that. But the thing is like, you can't see it here. It looks fine like in the video, but if you look up close, the printing, it's got, it's got like little specks and stuff. It's not like really thick and just opaque or whatever. But it's gone through the wash a bunch of times, and it's okay. But because of the quality wasn't so great, I didn't continue with Amazon with merch, or merch, whatever it's called. But yeah, I would like to recreate these shirts and stuff, because I think that they would be fun for people to check out, and I want to make some more shirts and kind of have that YouTube shelf thing going on. But right now, my channel is once again demonetized, because the internet hates me. But
What happened?
well, it's what it is I got to a certain point where I have, and this is probably one of those things some people wouldn't share, but I don't care. I got to the point where it hit about $1,000 of money that through my whole YouTube career that they will pay me for ads or whatever. And I've had this issue with, like, you have to like get a pin sent to you in the mail, and then you have to enter that in on AdWords and stuff, or whatever, Google Ads or whatever. And I've changed my address so many times. Like, they're still think my address is like 4 addresses ago, and so I've never been able to get that pin to put it in. But now it got to a certain threshold where they're like, now we're demonetizing your site until you get that pin in.
Wow.
I think they don't want to be stuck paying like a crazy amount or something eventually.
Yeah, they think you're just hoarding the money to get a big payday, and they're like, nope.
So now for almost a month, my video monetization hasn't been happening, so I'm losing whatever cents it is or whatever. But I'm hoping, I did finally figure out how to change my address and all that stuff. So I'm hoping that the pin will come. It says it's going to be like weeks before it gets here. So I don't know why it takes so long to send one little piece of mail, but so that's what's going on with the YouTube demonetization thing. But thanks, Comics with Chris. I'll try to make that happen once I can do that again. So I'm looking forward to that, actually, because I don't know, I think it's cool, maybe have one with the logo, and I like merch and stuff anyways. Like, I'd love to have like coffee mugs with cool things on it and stuff, and I don't know. Let's see. It's good to step out of your comfort zone when it comes to art, but yeah, you find what works better for you. Yeah, that's true. Both things are true. Just being in your comfort zone and kind of doing it for all it's worth, the way that you do it. But then there's also, you got to keep growing and stuff as well. So, Crimson Owl. Okay, he's just talking. Let's see. Mike says he's watching Jan's technique and geeking out, it looks like. Me too. I love how he constructs the faces and stuff, and he'll just go on and on. Kelly says, what kind of comic should I make today? Whatever you want.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's not something we can really tell you, but think of one of your favorite things that you like to watch, like a cartoon, anime, comics you like to read, maybe your favorite movie or something like that, and then make your version of that. Try doing that. That's always a fun exercise. If you wanted a suggestion. Let's see. YouTube is full of crap. They demonetize creators, but keep up channels that tortures and burn cats alive for views. Ugh, that's disgusting. I didn't know that that's even on YouTube. But yeah, it boggles my mind what they choose to censor sometimes and what they don't. Let's see. Where do you guys want to travel when this whole pandemic is over? Ooh, I wonder, that'd be nice if Jan was here, because he likes to travel.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he is here. He's here in spirit and in art.
Yes.
What do you think?
Well, I haven't actually thought about it, but I don't know. When I travel, I always visit someone, so it's not very exciting. So like, I don't know, to London or to Berlin or something like that, or to my mom's house. Just visit some friends, and I mean, if I had a lot of money, I would go other places, but normally I spend my traveling money visiting friends and family.
Have you ventured out to family yet?
Yeah, I did see my dad, and then I saw my mom, and I saw some of my friends. But at the moment, I'm not seeing anyone because things have gotten a little bit worse over here. So
Oh, did they?
yeah, but yeah, during August, I did see some friends and family.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, traveling is something I'm really looking forward to in the future. Let's see. I want to go anywhere and everywhere. I'd like to visit all my friends here on YouTube land. Not all of them, I can't visit everybody, but some people that I've been friends with for a long time. Because that's one thing actually that Teresa brought up that I thought was interesting is with this whole thing with, you have these friends online, but are they really, friends, as far as like, you're putting yourself out there, and people become familiar with you, but you don't necessarily know them because maybe they don't make YouTube. They're just people who kind of are there and sometimes comment, type of thing. And that can get a little tricky, I would say. But there are certain people who I've spent a lot of time talking to on air and off air, Teresa and Jan here being two of them, and some people in the chat, Mike and Clay and some of you guys, who, in my opinion, personally, I definitely consider as actual real friends, like people who I wouldn't be afraid to actually meet physically, because I mean, it just comes through talking and seeing each other's faces sometimes.
Yeah.
And,
that would be cool.
A real friendship, I think,
I always, what, it's weird, but I always think, like, if we ever do meet in person, I wonder how we look in proportion to each other. Like, how big are you in proportion to me, or how tall are you in proportion to Mike? Like, I can abstractly know that, but until you're there in the presence of the person, you can never know, like, how do they actually look.
Yeah.
So silly, but
I think of that too, especially like with actors and stuff, because they do tricks and stuff to make people look taller and smaller and this and that on camera. And some of these actors and stuff are actually really tiny. And if I sit there while I'm watching it and think about it, as us being artists, we understand proportions a little bit more than the average person. And so I'm like, oh, I would never know this otherwise, but that guy is probably really short. Like, I can see like the proportions of his body, and I'm like, that guy, I think that guy's really short, actually.
Yeah, I wonder about that stuff. And like, I don't know, stuff like that. Like, when you see people in person, it's just a complete different thing.
It is. Yeah, I know. Like, maybe we could have a meetup, and Mike's gonna be like towering above us. He's like really tall or something. We didn't even know. Like,
it's gonna be patting us on the head, and then like Jan is like as tall as my leg. And
wow.
And you're like super strong. You're like the Hulk. We're like the Fantastic Four, just completely out of proportion with each other.
Totally. Let's see. But yeah, I would like to travel though. Like, there's a lot of places I would like to travel. But some of the places I can think of off the top of the head that have been big ones is like Australia, Japan, the UK. Absolutely. I feel like I have so many friends in the UK. It's ridiculous. And I'm obsessed with the different accents. I mean, Italy as well, like anywhere in that whole range of countries and stuff. The Philippines, hey, that would be kind of cool. I've known a lot of people who live in the Philippines. I actually have a sort of family member who moved over there recently. Jan's over there right now.
Yeah.
I also would like to travel around America. I have friends down south. I have friends out west. I've always wanted to go to California, but I don't know if I would ever want to live there because it's expensive. But I'd like to visit. I definitely, like, I have friends I've been talking to, like Peter Palmiotti's in Kentucky, Doug Garrett's in Tennessee. Some of my other friends I talk to a lot are in that kind of southern area. That actually sounds really attractive to me because it's cheaper to live down there. Like, if I were to ever move away from where I live, I kind of think somewhere down south would be really cool for me. So I don't know. Yeah. I'd love to travel, but even Teresa was saying before, like, we have to make our comics.
Yeah.
So how much traveling can we do? I don't know.
One day, when we're all rich from all our comic money.
Yes. Let's see. Jan needs to do some speed sketches on YouTube. I agree. Well, I don't agree that he needs to, but I know what you're saying because he needs to do whatever he needs to do. But let's see. But for now, you can see him sketching on Marsh Makes Comics YouTube channel.
Exclusive content right here.
Here we go. Lame Vision Official, have you made your magnum opus comic yet? Is it something you're planning for?
Is that a question for what? Oh, for
Either of us, I would assume.
I don't think the artist decides what their magnum opus is. That's like for critics to decide. You just make your comic and make it better every time, and the moment you peak, people will say like that's their big thing. They've done it.
I freaking love that answer.
Thanks.
I agree. Like, I think, there have been people who have wanted to write the great American novel, because it's like a thing, that's like, but the people who have written what would be considered great American novels probably weren't setting out to write the great American novel. They were just writing, and
and they made it great.
Yeah, something struck with the audience, and it became popular. But there is a desire to create something great, or many things great, or be a great person. I think we all have something in us that wants to be great. I personally think, and I think it's worth pursuing. Pursuing, big dreams. You may not reach the big dream, but you'll have a fun adventure on the way. And again, I think it's important just to put stuff out there and to keep trying to get better and better. And like Teresa said, you really have no control over what is great and what is not outside of just doing your best. It really is the audience who really makes that decision.
Yeah. And I think also what you're saying, like everyone wants to be great. I try not to get just stuck on making things great, and I just try to make them a little bit better. Because making them great is, I don't know, to me it's paralyzing. When I think about I'm gonna do this and it's gonna be great, and then I just get really stressed out, and I overplan things, I procrastinate. Like that mindset maybe works for some people, but for me it doesn't. So for me it's always healthier and more productive to think I'm gonna make it better than last time. Let's see how I can do that.
Yeah. I think greatness is more stumbled upon than intentionally happening. And yeah, trying to put that pressure on is definitely can be a hindrance. I know for me.
And as well, like I tend to think about great things like sort of like a gift. Like if you're born really, really tall, and well, nobody is born really tall. We're all babies, but you know what I mean. Like some things are out of your control, but greatness is one thing that is, I suppose, hidden in some. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm talking about. But what I'm trying to say is like if there's any greatness in you to be materialized, then you wouldn't know it anyway. And the only thing you can do is try your best and see if it turns out to be great. And then you're like, oh, I lucked out. I happen to be great, but nobody knows that at the beginning, I don't think.
Yeah.
Oh, well, some people have a big ego, and from the beginning, they're like, yeah, I'm great. But I think it's just a coincidence because there's a lot of mediocre people that think the same thing.
Yeah. Is there a big project, though, that you feel like you want to get to, like you have to get to, or anything like that?
The biggest project I have is always the next one. So when I finish Graduation Nightmares, which I'm about 90 pages from finishing, I have the next one, which you know about, which is a middle grade graphic novel, and that's going to be great, That's all I know. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah. You know, I think a lot of people do have that. I think Jan is showing us that drawing. I think he's drawing us. He drew me or something in there.
Oh, yeah, it's you.
That's funny.
And the one next to you is probably me with
Thanks,
the
dude.
overalls.
Yeah. And the balding hair and stuff.
Yeah, that's me for sure.
Yeah, but I think a lot of us do have like that kind of big project we want to do, you know. I don't exactly. I mean, the one that would be called my probably big project is Glyph. And at this point, I almost just feel like it's more a hindrance than anything. For some reason, that project just doesn't want me to make it. But other projects flow a lot better. Or maybe I just need to push past the writing problems and make it happen. You know, because that's what I've had to do with other projects too before. It just gets stuck in my head because I've written and rewritten it so many times and just, you know, so, but I don't know that I feel like that's my magnum opus. I do kind of feel like it could be like my Savage Dragon, where it's like it's my playground that I always do and you know, just experiment with and stuff like that. But I don't know. Some of the other stories I got going are much more compelling and interesting to me, and I'm more excited about even. So I may never even do Glyph properly. I don't know. I think I will because I do have cool ideas for it and I do want to do it. But that would be the closest thing to maybe a magnum opus. But I think it's going to be more like I got this story I'm working on now called Otis, and that's a really cool idea. Like, yeah, I can't wait. You know, the story of it, I feel like could be great. You know. And I'm just excited to do my best at it and make it happen, you know. And like Teresa said, every new project is kind of I'm putting my all into it, you know. So whatever resonates, I guess.
Yep, I agree.
Comics with Chris says, "Come down to Texas. Houston has great barbecue and Mexican food." You know, that's one place I actually have been to, but when I was there, I didn't explore at all. You know, I was in the military, and at that time, I actually was 21, so I could go out and do the things that everybody who was there wanted to do and still did, but weren't old enough probably to do a lot of them. But I wasn't into that kind of scene anyways back then, and I don't know really ever, but so I didn't
What
really
scene?
explore.
Barbecues?
No, the I was talking about like bars and stuff. You
Ah.
know, kind of like the party scene or whatever. That being
Yeah.
said, you didn't say anything about bars. You said barbecue and Mexican food. But
Yes.
I wasn't interested in exploring. I was just interested in like trying to get through. The military was not. It wasn't my favorite thing. It wasn't horrible or super hard, but I also, again, I was focused on I was focused on making music and stuff. Like I'm always doing that instead of exploring. Nowadays, though, I feel like I'm more apt to explore and put the art aside. So I don't know, but yeah, I want to come to Texas and actually enjoy it and explore it a little bit, or meet some friends or something for sure.
So you went to Texas and didn't have like Tex-Mex food?
Well, I didn't do restaurants really too much. I
Oh, man.
did go. I was in Arizona for a bunch of months for that, and I had family there. I have family there, so I did go to an authentic like Mexican restaurant and stuff, and we did a few things. Went to some caves and hung out a little bit. So there, I did actually get a little exploring, and so I did have the Mexican food there. Which, you know, I realized that I might like fake Mexican food better than real Mexican food sometimes. Not necessarily Taco Bell, but like we have some Mexican restaurants and stuff that I really like around here. I don't know. I enjoy it all, you know, so
I think real Mexican food is probably too spicy for me.
maybe.
Like real Indian food. It
Yeah.
would kill me.
I do like spicy stuff, but I can only eat so much of it. People love when artists draw themselves as their own characters, Nero says. Yeah, I think that's true. I don't do that very often, but
What? I don't understand.
people love when artists draw themselves as their own characters. I don't know.
Like caricatures or like
I
in the
thought
stories?
it was just maybe a drawing of yourself in like a cartoony way or something. I don't know if it means like
Ah,
in a comic or anything.
I thought people loved when you did that with them. You know?
That too, probably. Actually, it's funny. Graduation Nightmare, sometimes when I look at that character, it does actually remind me of you, though.
She is very much like me, yeah. In fact, Helena is Teresa, but with different consonants. She's
Right.
basically me, yeah. I don't have imagination to create like a character out of the blue that doesn't resemble me in some way. So she's like an idealized version of me because she's braver than me and she can skate really well.
You're vicariously living through your own character.
I know. I always wanted to skate, so I made a skate and really dexterous and fast, which is like what I would like to be, but I'm not. In fact, this morning I tripped over a wire and I almost broke the computer.
Oh, jeez.
I'm super clumsy, so I made her like super dexterous and agile.
I always like klutzy characters, though. Like, they're always fun to me.
That's because you're not a klutz yourself.
No, I am. Like, in the kitchen, I spill stuff like every day. I don't know. I'm pretty clumsy. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Let's see. See you later, Chris. He says he's leaving. Do you draw military stuff? I don't know what Kojima is. I'm assuming it has to do with some kind of Japanese or Chinese military thing. Not really. I don't usually. I like to draw imaginary stuff more. Not that military can't be that. But I don't tend to gravitate towards realism very much, or like a lot of mechanical things, even though I do have some ideas for things that are kind of on the mechanical side. I don't know. I have an interest. I think he's drawing you now, Teresa. I do have an interest.
I look angry.
This is Teresa's "Don't bother me, I'm not your friend" look.
Yeah, you know that look very well.
Oh, goodness. Let's see. Lane Vision Official. I live in California. Our Mexican food is pretty great too, especially closer to the border. Amazing tacos, I'm sure. I need to. I mean, Mexican food is like my favorite kind of food, so I definitely need to explore these realms of Mexican food. Stinch says, just draw boxes. Kim Jong-yi. All right. Well, I guess that's like the end of it, you know. That's all the art advice you need.
Yeah, it is one of those things where when a person reaches this level of enlightenment, they just say really simple stuff because they simplified it so much, but for you, it just sounds stupid. It's like, just be yourself. And you're like, that doesn't help me.
How many times have I heard, people ask like, how do I get better at this or that? And people say, practice, practice, practice. It's like, yeah, I know that. Do you have any other tips?
Nope. No, yeah, there are many tips, but it's just difficult to say exactly how you get to a place when... It's like when people say, like, can I have some criticism for this? If you wanted to give good criticism, you really have to think about it. Yeah. It's like, give me 3 days to analyze this, and then I'll get back to you.
Or when you say it constantly on YouTube, you can just kind of say it again.
Yeah.
Lane Vision Official says, I found that most commissions I get are for drawing other people's OC. They love to see more art of their characters.
Yeah, that's my experience. People love to see themselves or their characters drawn.
Yeah. That's what I like. Usually if I ask somebody to draw something, I want them to draw my character. Speaking about other people's OC, I'm working on this right here.
Oh, death. Nice.
Only
Nice.
death can save us.
Did you pick the colors? Like,
Yeah, I'm trying to base it off of the colors he already picked, but I'm using like the old school like the dot tones like effect or whatever, so it's gonna have that look to it. So
yeah, I like that stuff. It looks good.
yeah, it's like my kind of default way of coloring. But yeah, since we mentioned it here again, I'll just say go over. I'm gonna just keep doing it here. I'll probably do it again before the thing is out. But go ahead and go over to Only Death Can Save Us on Indiegogo. I'll put the link once again in the thingy dingy. And yeah, help him out, back it. He's on it. He went to another live stream. That's why he had to leave. I knew he was gonna have to do that, but yeah, just wanted to pump that out there real quick again. All right. So what we should do is this. Wait, here, not this. What we should do is this.
Nice, yeah.
We get the real look of it. Character design is so awesome. Yeah, for Only Death Can Save Us, I think so. I like it.
Yeah, I really like it. It's a great design.
It kind of, it really reminds me a lot of, Ghost Rider and stuff. But it's different. It's interesting. I have this weird thing, like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but the process I'm using to color this is different because I'm using this effect, and now I'm running into this weird problem where it's like not working. And I wish I could tell people ask somebody how to fix it, but it's
Is
like
this
it's a masking technique. So I lay the color, the dot tone on top of the whole picture, then I erase it with the mask, and then I just cut in the parts that I want or whatever. So yeah,
it sounds like there's probably a better way to do that, but I don't know it.
I've there maybe with different programs, but this is actually the way. Like I got these dot tones from one of the debaser. I don't know if they have like all these like texture type of.
Yeah, I remember you getting it because it was like all over the place a couple of years ago on Instagram and stuff. They were doing a lot of promotion, and I remember you getting it, and I was thinking, oh man, I wanted to get that thing, which is like a pack, isn't it?
Yeah, there's different ones and stuff. It's from a company called True Grit, and there's different effects you can get. And I went for the old school comic stuff, but it's for Procreate. They don't have a version for Clip Studio Paint, which is what I use. And so, but I'm still kind of, I figured out how to use it also in Clip Studio. But that being said, I am using it the way they say to use it in Procreate, but it's a little bit different because it's a very different program. But that being said, now that I'm kind of running into a little issue, I'm like, crap, how do I get back to what I was doing? Because it doesn't want to do it.
I'm not a Procreate person.
Yeah,
it's a mystery to me.
Procreate is it's an amazing program. My only problem with it is that it doesn't do like anti-aliasing. Like where it's just crisp like
Yeah.
things.
So you cannot choose like the edge of the lines.
Yeah, it's all feathered. And there are like kind of ways to hack it, but it's a weird hack, and it doesn't like really do it right. Like it comes out weird. And so people do actually still make comics on it, but that is like typically you want to be a little more pixel perfect than that when you're making something for print, you know.
Yeah, when those options get taken away, then you get that look. It's like, oh, it's a Procreate comic, and it's like the program kind of dictates how it looks. But then again, I think it happens with tools in general. Like if you use a quill, you're gonna have the quill look, and if you use a brush pen, you're gonna have the brush pen look. So it's okay to get the Procreate look if you like it.
Yeah.
It's a Procreate comic, and it looks like a Procreate comic. But a lot of people say that about Clip Studio, actually. They say like Clip Studio comics look like Clip Studio comics.
Yeah, they can. I think with all programs they can, but you know, you just have to have a goal in mind for the look you want, and then, you know, you can avoid some of those things that seem specific to that program if you're really trying to push it. So, you know, one way I'm working in Clip Studio right now, but I don't think that people would think this is a Clip Studio thing because I actually drew it physically. I like that. He did the Marsh Makes comics on the hat. That's cool.
Nice.
um, but yeah, like so, you know, I drew it physically and imported it. So nothing in here is really Clip Studio-y. The coloring maybe, but I'm using a different technique that isn't really super native to Clip Studio. So yeah, there's ways around it. I think
Yeah.
there's certain things like with word balloons, especially with Clip Studio, that like those there's a certain effect that sometimes those word balloons have that is like, yep, that's Clip Studio. I can tell.
Yeah, but it's so easy. It's such a good tool. Like this is the thing, and this is something I think I've talked to Mike about. Trying to work against the tool is like I don't do that because you know, Clip Studio's bubbles work, and if you don't like them, I think you will spend ages trying to make them look different from what they should be. But you know, I would say letter in another program. It's not worth it. Like you can letter in Illustrator or on something else.
Well, yeah, it's I could see how you would say, you know, maybe it's not worth it. But at the same time, some people don't have access to those other programs.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's where it comes to, because it's like if you want Clip Studio, you know, depending on, you know, it's luckily it's cheap for the most part, but if you do it like I do it, which is on the iPad, you have to pay a monthly fee.
Ah, yeah, that sucks.
And it's actually pretty expensive,
Yeah.
relatively. But for me, I mean, it's kind of worth it because Clip Studio is a pretty amazing program. I'd say it's probably better than any other program for comics.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I would agree.
There are a few things that it's a little bit better to do in, like, you know, Photoshop or Illustrator, but all around, yeah, it's a pretty good program. So it's hard for me to really even be able to get away from. So I use it, but you know, I don't know. You make whatever you have work, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I just I try to if this is the tool I have, I'm gonna make it work the way it works better, kind of thing. So
Right.
like, although I think some people enjoy the whole like, oh, this is a pencil drawing and it looks like it's oil. I don't know. I don't know how you would do that, but you know, some people do it where they take a tool and they make it look like another tool.
Yeah.
So I think that can be fun, but I'm not. I think you have to be a technically adept, you know, like the type of person that enjoys technical experimentation and experimentation with tools.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. All right, let's see. I think we've been going for a while here.
Yeah.
And it's been fun. But it's 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I feel like I'm starting to maybe get a little tired, like I need to take a break.
Yeah,
To
me
be
too.
honest. So
And
what?
and Jan's page, like the page, Jan is signing the page, so that means we're done.
Yeah. Exactly. So Jan, if you can come back on audio, that would be awesome. But if not, yeah, thanks for watching. I love it. You know, you can find Jan on Yanimal on YouTube, and I will get the links in. Thanks for drawing us, Jan. That's awesome. um, and
Nice.
yeah, I'll put the links in the description. Once again, Only Death Can Save Us. I'll just throw that link in there one more time just because it's easy.
That's me.
And it is already in the description. Yes, it's so cool. So that being said, I guess Jan can't really say anything, but let me get this comment out of here real quick. Thank you, everybody, for watching, by the way, and thank you for contributing in the chat to the conversation. You guys rock. You guys and gals rock. And Teresa, where can people find you?
People can find me here on YouTube, same name, or on Instagram, same name, but with underscores between the words.
Awesome. And you guys know where to find me, donkeyjawprojects.com and Marsh Comics on Twitter. All right. Thank you. This has been a fun stream, and we'll
Yeah.
talk to you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Anytime.